What mistakes does someone have to make so that he and his son get kidnapped, tortured, and killed on camera? Well, the answer is simple. No mistake warrants this type of punishment. But in the world of Mexican cartels, this is how they let other people know not to mess with them. Today's story is about Los Viagras, a once small self-defense force turned cartel. Now, they're upping their violence game as they're trying to claim the big prizes in the dog-eat-dog cartel world. This is evident in their video, infamously known as the Guerrero Flaying Incident. We'll be covering what happens in Los Viagras' gruesome video, why it happened, and the various theories surrounding it. But before we go on, I must insist, please don't search for this actual video on the dark web. This level of brutality simply cannot be forgotten. There is no good coming from watching something like this. To get the gist of it, we must first understand how Los Viagras cartel was formed. Its beginnings are truly unusual. Ever since the early 2000s, Mexican authorities and the DEA have been fighting hard to win the war on drugs. This meant a more violent approach to arresting drug lords, seizing their firearms and narcotics, and putting an end to their illicit businesses. The government also employed the kingpin strategy, which aimed for the arrest, sometimes the assassination, of cartel leaders. The idea behind this is simple. If you remove the top dog, the cartel might just crumble as it splits into smaller warring factions. Other times when a leader dies, other cartels will swoop in and destroy the cartel or recruit its members to their side. As you can see, the war on drugs is not simple. It's a never-ending chess game, and unfortunately, cartels have only become more violent as a result of it. Of course, they want to win the war. But Los Viagras didn't start out as a small cartel. In 2014, former Michoacan Security Commissioner Alfredo Castillo Carvantes created this group with the goal of capturing the leader of the Knights Templar cartel, Serrando Gomez Martinez, also known as El Tuda. Los Viagras was a group comprised of former self-defense militia members, but their leader, Mariano Sierra Santana, was not a good person or on the side of justice in any way. He'd fled to the state of Michoacan after getting into a fight with Luis El Americano Torres, a member of the Knights Templar cartel. He was just using this as an opportunity to get revenge on the Templars. And it gets worse.
Sierra was wanted for crimes similar to Reyes, in addition to and charges stemming from his alleged involvement in a June 2014 shootout in Apatzingan, Michoacan, which left 7 dead.
So maybe this wasn't a man the government should have worked with. Mariano and his brother, Nicholas, aka El Gordo, had another illicit business on the side, cockfighting. And how did the Viagras get their name, you ask?
Y le dicen la Viagra porque él, como le digo, se ponía un gelecillo en el pelo y se paraba los pelos. Entonces empezó a jugar gallo y se empezó a ganar. Y íbamos ¿y cómo le ponemos al partido? ¿Qué partido es? Ah, Los Viagras.
It almost sounds like a funny story, where if not for what they do. First of all, they pit roosters against each other, and the game only ends when one of them dies. Second of all, remember the topic of today's video? Yeah, Los Viagras became brutal like a few other cartels. In February 2015, La Tura was finally arrested by the Mexican military with the help of Los Viagras. But as it often happens when a cartel leader disappears, the neighboring cartels fight to get their hands on whatever territory or businesses are left out in the open. Los Viagras wasn't officially a cartel yet, but they had the military training and the firepower necessary to become one. So they did. When the military announced its plans to dismantle the group, Los Viagras took over the municipal presidency of Apatzingan and had to be violently evicted by the federal police. 10 civilians lost their lives and 21 were wounded. Slowly but surely, Los Viagras took over the Knights Templars territory in Guerrero and threatened rival cartels with a promise of horrific brutality. This is El Gordo. He's been the leader of the brutal Los Viagras cartel since 2015, and yet he sees himself as a victim prosecuted by the Mexican government. In El Gordo's eyes, one simply can't say no to the drug trade in Mexico. There's just too many opportunities.
Transcurso de 20 kilómetros aquí a la redonda, pues había unos 30 laboratorios. Pues digo, a mí me dijeron, ¿sabes qué? ¿Inviertes o qué onda? Yo no traigo mucha lana, ¿y qué onda? Pues dije, órale.
But according to him, it's not the drugs, but the government that is the real problem.
Él se encargó, el gobierno, de voltearnos a nuestros propios compañeros.
O sea, ¿te sientes traicionado tú?
Sí, porque yo no les hice nada.
It's crazy how cartel leaders refuse to take responsibility for their actions. The government may employ some questionable tactics, but they don't skin people alive. About that. But let us get to Los Viagras' infamous video. The video is about 7 minutes long, and it begins by showing a father and a son sitting on a rock with their mouths covered and their hands tied. It's not very clear what their captors are saying, but at one point in the video, the word chapulín is heard. This means grasshopper in Spanish, while in Spanish slang, it also means traitor. This makes their treatment of their victims warranted in their minds. For any cartel, treason is seen as the worst crime. Whether you're divulging information to a rival cartel, working with the police, or stealing money from the cartel, it's considered treason, and it's likely you'll get the worst punishment possible. This is why these two men are held at gunpoint by several masked men. One of the men is the ringleader, and he's the one interrogating the father. The interrogation is muffled, but towards the end of it, you can hear him say something along the lines of, "Snitches get stitches." Within a minute of interrogating the man, he proceeds to violently beat him with a stick or potentially a metal rod. The father is trying to take it all as graciously as he can, and his poor son looks away, but this is only the beginning of this huge ordeal. The ringleader shouts at his other men to force the son to watch. As the beating stops, the two get a brief second of relief, but it's about to get so much worse. The ringleader calls his right-hand man. He comes with a small knife. It's with this weapon that they decapitate the father, right in front of his teenage son. The boy was clearly under 20. What's particularly heartbreaking is that the father doesn't cry for a second. He's already accepted his fate. Or perhaps he's doing his best not to traumatize his son any further. Even though considering the whole context of this event, few things are less traumatizing. Also, the father probably knew his son would be next, but there was nothing he could do about it. The son lets some blood-curdling screams out, but even this is not the end of the horror show. For him, it has only just begun. In such videos, cartels normally punish the older member more harshly, or at least the person who wronged them the most. But in this video, it's the son that gets truly the worst punishment. With his dad's head in a box, the video cuts forward to the son simply lying on the ground. He's still alive, but he's not crying or screaming. His chest has been flayed open. The poor young man is in such a state of shock that he's not fighting his captors anymore. As all this is happening, the ringleader proudly announces he's going to send his dad's head to his mom as a gift. This is the reality of cartels. Violence is not just a means to an end. Sometimes, sicarios and assassins even derive pleasure from making others suffer. In one final gruesome act, the executioner reaches into the young man's body and pulls out his heart, having it on top of the son's chest. At least his suffering is over. But some people who have seen the actual video claim they could see the heart still beating for a few seconds, outside of his body. The fact that something like this can happen in real life is disturbing enough. But to think Los Viagras posted this video online for thousands to watch and get traumatized for life somehow makes it even worse. This level of brutality outdoes even the most infamous Mexican cartels. Well, Los Zetas and the Jalisco New Generation cartel are probably up there with Los Viagras. Again, before we close this chapter, please remember, watching videos like these only keeps you up at night. It's not worth it. As one YouTuber amply said, it's horrifying and it will mess you up. I've never seen anything or anyone so evil in my life. It honestly makes me sad that anyone even exists that is capable of something like that. As it often happens after such videos are released, people stumbling upon Los Viagras' video have argued and debated as to who the people actually were and what their crimes were. According to some sources, the man was a corrupt police officer and his son was just a collateral victim. But this only seems to have stemmed from someone's Reddit comment, blown out of proportion with fan theories. According to another source, the ringleader is heard accusing the father of revealing information about the cartel to a rival cartel. This would make sense, as this is seen as one of the worst crimes someone could commit against their cartel. But of course, the brutality is never warranted. There is no excuse for behaving like this. Calling it inhumane would be an injustice to animals. No animals torture for pleasure. It's only humans. For Los Viagras, this act was just an opportunity to spread their message. People shouldn't mess with us. This is what you get for snitching on us. Sadly, cartels have been using social media to spread fear and terror over the last 2 decades. The internet has only enabled them to reach every corner of the world, and in a truly bizarre way, this has earned them a sort of creepy fandom online. Many people glorify cartels and their excessive violence and are fascinated by their disturbing outtake on life. This video is not meant to do this. Its only goal is to raise awareness to the terrible reality of the cartel world. El Gordo's stance on the whole thing?
Te lo voy a decir, aquí se dice de muchas cosas. que uno mafiaba, que uno esto. Bueno, pues simplemente, pues te lo voy a decir sinceramente, sí, no te digo que seamos buenas gentes.
A long list of arrest warrants have been issued for El Gordo. Multiple counts of homicide, robbery, extortion, and kidnapping are at the top of it. Currently, Los Viagras is fighting the CJ&G over territory in Michoacan and Guerrero. It seems like a losing battle. The CJ&G is bigger, more militarized, and even more brutal. This is what you get for being a part of the cartel wars.
No se me olvida algo de la tuta. A todos se los van a chingar, hijo. Sí lo dijo. Y así nos están chingando.
Hey, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this video? How can cartel violence be stopped? And can the war on drugs ever be won? Let me know your thoughts in a comment. And before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and click that bell button. See you next time.